Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports, and some interesting news over the weekend. There was a coup within the Australian Rugby Board with a new chairman being announced. The former chairman, Hamish, McLennan, on the way out, and a whole sort of rejig of potential Australia Rugby on the up. And before I go any further, I want to sort of take you back to the World Cup, where the growing pressure really began following that loss to Wales over in Lyon, which I was actually at the match, and we were there to interview a couple of fans. And there was one interview that kind of went a bit viral, and I thought that before I even talk about exactly what happened, let's talk about what the fan feeling was back in the World Cup, and let's go back to that interview as a bit of a precursor to what we're then going to talk about now. A mess for Eddie Jones, apparently.
No, look, listen, Eddie will be a scapegoat. The fish rots from the head. The chairman of Rugby Australia needs to resign today. I don't want to wait for his resignation. It needs to come immediately. If I wanted to watch a bunch of Australians fail to get out of a pool, I'd go to a bar in Bali. Sorry, this is a joke. Utter joke.
So how does it get fixed?
How does it get fixed? Burn it to the ground and rebuild it. There's no quick fixes. Bring a coach in. What's 7 months out?
But so is that what Eddie's trying to do with a completely new squad, young squad? Because obviously he can't fix things above him. So is that what he's trying to do?
Beating up on the coach is easy. I've done this. Basically, it's easy to beat up on a coach. He wants us to throw baguettes at him. All right, we can throw baguettes at him. I'm sorry. This idea of bringing a new coach in, 7 months out from the World Cup? You know, we're going to do a smash and grab raid on the World Cup. It doesn't happen like that. This is like any serious business. You build a structure, you build a series of ways to solve problems to get to the point where you're not smashing and grabbing on the World Cup. I mean, I went to Ireland, South Africa last night. It was beautiful rugby. Beautiful rugby. It was one of the most brilliant games I've ever seen. And we come here tonight and there's Mexican waves going around because the game's so bloody boring. Where have we gone wrong?
Whoa. Right, so that was Australian fans' feelings, and I'm absolutely fuming following that result. But the big thing was, the idea that fish rot from their head. That was what he was really sort of getting at, and the fact that right at the top, the chairman of Australia, Hamish McLennan, who was the one that sort of spearheaded the ship towards hiring Eddie Jones, sacking Dave Rennie, for example, and in the latest sort of movement, Rugby Australia have moved to basically sort of take over the high performance programs of the Super Rugby sides, and there's been a lot of pushback from that. And over this weekend, there were a bunch of emergency board meetings. And in the final emergency board meeting, Hamish McLennan was actually ousted. He was voted out as chairman of Australia, and he's been replaced by Daniel Herbert, who is a former Wallaby centre. He was part of the team that won the World Cup in 1999. The 2001 British and Irish Lions series. He played over 50 tests for Australia. And he has taken over as chairman of Rugby Australia. In terms of what he had to say, this is sort of the crux of it. He said that it has never been more important for the Rugby Australia board working with member unions to come together and execute the reform we absolutely need for an aligned high-performance system and to deliver on the commitments we have made, including to invest in community and women's rugby. Australia will host the British and Irish Lions Tour in 2025, the Men's 2027 Rugby World Cup, the Women's 2029 Rugby World Cup, and the 2032 Olympic Games. The reform we progress now will underpin the competitors on national teams, as well as building deeper engagement with the rugby community and fans everywhere. We note that different member unions are not opposing Rugby Australia's centralisation proposals and remain committing to supporting high performance alignment. It's an interesting sort of situation because a lot of boards basically felt that they weren't being heard, from around the different sort of stakeholders. Now, the former chairman now, Hamish McLennan, has said that it was a smear campaign against him, and he has actually hit out at his fellow Rugby Australia directors after a letter of no confidence from 6 state unions, which said that they no longer have the confidence in him. Speaking on that, he said the following. I think this is all about money and control at the end of the day, so we'll see how it plays out. I just think there's no doubt there's been a coordinated campaign to smear me. The results of the World Cup are pretty poor, but I think we've got to look at the underlying reasons, and the fact is the system's broken, and we've got to fix it. In terms of what he reckons that this whole sort of him being ousted, said he reckons it might actually create more divide. He said, I'm philosophical. It doesn't matter. No one died at the end of the day, and it's just a game. At the end of that important one, and one that I love. But at the end of the day, there's a war going on in Ukraine. There's a war between Israel and Hamas, and that's real stuff that really matters. So I was kind of sort of deflecting what actually really sort of happened. The Sydney Morning Herald has revealed that the rebel group that Ousting were included Queensland, ACT, West Australia, Tasmanian, South Australian, and Northern Territory rugby unions. And they were the ones that sent letters of no confidence. They then had enough votes to remove him during an extraordinary general meeting. And after the deadline of 5 p.m. was extended by 24 hours, the chairman declared on Sunday he was prepared to take the matter to a vote, and he then lost the vote and had to resign. And it's interesting. I mean, I think it's always sort of twofold, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, you can't move past that World Cup campaign. I think the big issue that a lot of these boards have, not so much just the World Cup campaign, it's sort of this new sort of vision. As I said, this whole idea of Rugby Australia sort of getting more involved in the states programs, taking over the high performance program and stuff like that. For me, there's no doubt that there needs to be reform. I mean, I don't think anyone's denying that. Even, you know, incoming chairman Daniel Herbert's not denying that. You know, he's saying that there needs to be reform, and it's about getting that reform right. And at the end of the day, the state's lost faith in McLennan and wanted change. So they've got change. Whether it'll make any difference, well, I don't know. We have to time will sort of tell, won't it? It's difficult to sort of really judge what will happen. I mean, to be fair to McLennan, and that's what their statement actually acknowledged. They said that the board acknowledges the strategic agenda that Hamish has been instrumental in driving through COVID and other challenges, ensuring that rugby in Australia continued through very challenging times. He departs the world chair, having been a central figure in Australia, securing the hosting rights to major rugby events that will inspire generations of players and supporters, as well as delivering the current broadcast rights deal and helping to turn around the government body's financial position. So he did do some good. You know, as I said, at the end of the day, they are basically hosting everything under the sun when it comes to rugby in the next sort of decade. And he was a big part of that. However, a lot of people then saying that he was not the right person to be able to then make Australia rugby competitive for these events that now come. So we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.